And then we realized, hey, maybe we can do analytics for Cosmos. We were able to serve not only data science or monitoring, but also helping developers with custom APIs and aggregated APIs. Because what we do is that we index all these chains and we put them into BigQuery, Google BigQuery, as public data sets, grow their businesses through incentives, allocations, and distribution campaigns. The idea is that they can reach their users that they're trying to deliver these incentives to through different ads.
Welcome to the Bare Metal Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning back into the Bare Metal Podcast. I'm your trusty Ship the Code from Rockaway Labs here today with Rafa from Numia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Numia, started as a data-heavy company. I'm curious about the origin story. I love origin stories. How did you get into crypto, and how did you found Numia?
So my name is Rafa. I'm one of the co-founders of Numia. And Numia was born, it's actually a very interesting story. We were involved in the Evmos project with other folks very early in the Evmos journey. And that didn't go anywhere, but we had such a painful experience, dealing with RPCs and trying to get data and aggregating data from RPCs. It was just really hard. And then I actually joined IG, which is ICF basically, on the BD side. And then I met Marco from the SDK. And Marco knew I had a data science background. And he was like, hey, Rafa, the SDK has this event streaming module that you can use to aggregate data. Maybe you can build do analytics for Cosmos. And that was just a comment for him. We tried it out with my co-founder. We thought it was interesting. We started to look into the data just for our own purposes. And then we realized, hey, maybe we can do analytics for Cosmos. So that was our initial goal. But then we realized there wasn't really a market for it. And suddenly we had a few people asked us about the data that we were looking into. It's like, hey guys, we know you have this data. So we said, yeah, we do. Do you want access to it? And suddenly we got more and more requests from customers. And suddenly I was writing invoices for the effort that we were doing at first. So it started as a data science as a service company. Really, we thought there wasn't really market for a platform like doing in Cosmos. The market isn't really that big. There was more market for doing services on top of that data for specific use cases of specific businesses. So we're a B2B company.
Well, shout out to Marco from Binary Builders, been on the podcast a couple of times. This looks super interesting. So you guys started sort of with the data analytics side. I remember, I think at Cosmoverse in Medellin, there was your data showing how validator sets are shared between protocols, right? Those were you guys. So some custom work. But now your mission is to build, monitor, and grow. So can you dive deeper into this? You already mentioned you work with protocols that you're focusing on the pain of building apps, but there's you picked out these three words to characterize the mission. So build, monitor, grow. How do I understand that?
Yeah. So as I was mentioning, we started with what I would say the monitor side of things. Looking into data, telling projects hey, here's how your analytics look like. Here's how many users you have. Here's how your retention looks like. Here's what you should do. And those same projects start us asking for, hey, you guys are aggregating all this data. Can you maybe give us an API endpoint for this and that? And suddenly we say, okay, so these folks not only want to monitor, understand their products, they also want to build with the data that we already have. So we then realized that, with all the infrastructure that we were running, nodes for indexing and data that we had indexed, we were able to serve not only data science or monitoring, but also helping developers with custom APIs and aggregated APIs to also power their own front ends, their own UX, their own wallets. And then, with that same data, if you think about it, if there's this company, Google acquired this company called Firebase 10 years ago or something in the mobile.
No Firebase. Sure.
And Firebase was pretty much that. They were a backend as a service. Then they had analytics, and then they ended up also serving tools for growing those products like notifications, some in-app messages, some connection with Google Ad Networks and so on. So if you think about the development cycle of a product, you build first, then you try to understand and monitor, and you try to grow it, right? And with the data that we have, we felt that it was really every product that we could serve along this modules has very low marginal cost because the sunk cost is at the infrastructure level and at the indexing level. And once
I've
you're
already
doing
got that.
that,
Right.
you can actually just serve the other project with a really low marginal cost, right? So that's what we took advantage of. And honestly, we didn't set out to build this from the get go. We tried to think of ourselves at least as very practical people, and we just had customer asking us to solve their problems, and that's how we would try to go here and there and a little bit more reactively than you would say the normal VC funded company, because we're not, like, we are fully bootstrapped. So we hustle for every dollar in such a way, but that has allowed us to kind of like build gradually based on customer problems to this point where we're at right now, trying to serve the whole
This idea.
development lifecycle of a product.
I repeatedly see this way, which feels really like the best way to start a company, which is like first feel the pain, right? As you guys did on Evmos, and then gradually, like, customers ask for specific things and you just build it out. I believe it's a very similar story to Helios on Solana, founded by Mert, who was quoting the same thing, coming at this first from the RPC side, but ultimately then focusing on, hey, it's hard to build apps. How do I help developers build apps, and how do I just provide this thing as a service? So it feels super similar. It's great to see the ecosystem maturing and helping devs like get their job done. One of the things I found on your website is a scalable RPCs as a service. So I was curious, how do you guys do that? Is that all in-house infra that you run? I had recently Eric Klepper from LavaNet here, who was building like a complex RPC network or just node network to make nodes available to developers, but also somehow use third-party nodes from various node operators so that they can make money. It seems like an intricate system. Like, what's your philosophy on providing RPC access?
Yeah, full disclaimer, I don't have any strong opinions on anything, really. And I think we try to operate that way in the sense that, we just follow customer problems. So please take all my opinions with a grain of salt. Um, but RPCs for us are really just a small part of our business. Like, it's part of the building module, let's say. You have there also aggregated APIs, backend as a service, right? And RPCs are a fundamental part of that. We try to serve the whole suite of products that a developer needs in Cosmos, and RPCs are a part of that. We weren't originally planning to offer them really, but our customers just, they want it all in one provider.
Yeah.
So
No, I can see that.
we
Look,
started.
if I'm buying custom endpoints from you, right, I would like to have one host to query all these other things. I don't want to talk to another
Exactly.
RPC. So I would sort of understand that the integration comes again out of the customer request. So to summarize, like, you guys are not really focusing on the RPCs. The RPCs are like the carrier or like the base which you provide, but the actually what you focus on are those added value services that you refer to, involving those like custom data providers or endpoints.
Exactly. The custom API endpoints are, let's say, our suite, like what we're good at, because the problem with an RPC is that, RPCs are a commodity, right? Like, everybody can serve the node and everybody will have access to the same data. So it's a little bit of a race to the bottom. Like, we have to, it's a price race to some degree.
Many node
And for the
operators
IP,
will agree with this as they're trying to get foundation delegations to write RPC nodes. Yes.
exactly. So the API endpoints are really where we think we can excel, because the API endpoints require on super low level understanding of the data schema of every chain, all the messages, all the events that they have, translating that into business value and aggregating that in a pipeline that's scalable, real time, and can serve the UX of a front end like Osmosis, Quasar, and other customers that we have, Stripe. So that's really where we think we excel in, and where we think our business is kind of like more defensible. Um, However, since you asked about Lava, I think there are, again, I don't have too many strong opinions. I hope, these marketplaces seem to have proved themselves in the past 10 years, right, to some degree. I think they're looking for us to serve our data through them. And I think that makes sense. We would be incentivized to get the right data. I just feel the reason we haven't pushed too much in that direction is because we haven't, our customers asked us like, hey, we need you guys to be completely centralized, or we need you guys to be, and I think the market is moving in that direction, but I don't feel it's there yet, because the development experience is so bad still that we still need to fix the fundamental problems of, like, just get me this data, just get me this endpoint. I just need this. and then I can think about this pyramid of problems in terms of like the hierarchy, which I would think is the next one. But
Yeah, makes
that's
sense. I
just my
guess
take. Yeah.
I understand that, from everything you say, the most important thing is direct contact with the customer, right? And if I'm thinking, like, if you're a node provider and you publish like a data schema on Lavanet to which you commit and say I can serve this, then where's the demand for this coming from? Like, is it from a specific
Exactly.
customer? Then like, is it a generic schema that multiple customers are going to use or not? I sort of get what you're coming from. Like, you're laser focused on the actual demands you're hearing, and then it makes sense to provide this as fast as possible with a direct access point. The other interesting part I found was SQL access and data warehousing. So this, I guess, refers more to the Dune part of the business, like in the sense of, hey, let's organize the data in a nice schema. So where do projects generally use this, and what are the use cases that they are going after most?
Yeah. So going back again through our kind of like a mission of like build, monitor, and grow. This is what we put into the monitor side of things. Because what we do is that we index all these chains and we put them into BigQuery, so Google BigQuery, as public data sets, so anybody can query them from their own Google Cloud instance. And many we don't have to get paid for like that. We offer them as a public good for the ecosystem. Like, you have to pay Google for the processing and the querying, which is not a great thing, to be honest. And we would love to subsidize all the querying, but we just don't have the money to do that. But still, the use cases there are our customers, writing their own queries to understand what the users are doing, building public dashboards. And we also sell data science services on top of that. So many of our customers don't want to write the queries, don't have the time to look at the schema. So they hire us to do the data science. But I would say that the number one use case is like in-depth analysis, like ad hoc analysis of like specific things. Just to give you a few examples, like Osmosis wanting to understand what the return rate is on specific behaviors, like wallets that swap 1 second, 3, 4 times, and so on, and how that specific funnel looked like. Stride, like looking specifically at the behavior of liquid staking, how do the funds flow from one chain to the other? How does that chart look like, etc. So the raw data is there, so you can at the end basically dive deep into anything. But again, you need the knowledge to jump into the data, and that's where our services teams comes in. But many of our customers are very self-sufficient as well.
No, but I like this model at all. You make the data available for free, right? So as a customer, I walk in, I can see the data's there, so I know the value is there, but it's hard for me to get it out, so that I can go and buy extra services from you guys, which will sort of package this up for me because you're in this data every day, right? I think that's actually a great way to do business.
Yeah, I mean, we again, like, I'd love to subsidize more for our customers, but like, we're not VC funded. We we don't have the 100-something million that Dune raised or something, like, not at all, right? But yeah, like, if we have this deep knowledge and we try to help the customers through that service, which I think they value it a lot. And so far we've become really good at like extracting this business value and answering these business questions out of the raw data and Cosmos.
I also found a reference to datalenses.zone. I opened the website. It felt a little bit like DeFi Llama to me, like for Ethereum. Is that a fair comparison, or where are you heading with the product?
Yeah, so let's say Numia is a B2B company, really, at the end of the day. And Data Lenses is sort of like our only B2C product, if you will. However, it's more of a B2B2C because it's for free for anybody in the internet to use. You can go there, check the analytics for Osmosis, some info on Celestia, DYDX, and the Cosmos Hub. And but those dashboards are built coming also from the relationship with these chains, essentially, because they hired us in through their grants program, for example, or privately, in a way that they want their community to have access to this data. And we build the dashboards for them, essentially, because to be quite frank here, we sometimes feel we're all over the place. And at the beginning, this product felt that, hey, this is not our core expertise. Like, we do things for B2Bs, right? We're an infra company. But again, if we look at our cost structure, commenting back to what I was saying, going back to what I was saying, sorry, the marginal costs of all these products aren't necessarily always super high. In this case, they're a little bit high because we have to build a front end, we have different pipelines and everything.
Right.
But it's, let's say, we're in a really good position to like have this handful of products based on the same data, and we felt that this change were giving us the mandate for the communities, and with the data that we have, we felt the responsibility as well. So we went ahead and also put that project out there. We keep building. We will add more chains in the coming future. But to be honest, let's say that from the infra business, which is our core business, we see that as a separate side product that we have, and maintain more for the communities in collaboration with the chains.
This is maybe a good place to ask, do you guys have in-house developers, or do you outsource this work on a contract basis? Because this might or might not be regular. I have no idea. What's your strategy?
We do everything in-house. Everything. Absolutely.
How big's the team?
Yeah. We're a team of 9 people.
9 people. Wow. Okay, that's grown considerably. And talking about growing, this third function that you guys were talking about is grow. And you mentioned earlier to me Filament, a company that I had no idea about, but turns out it does some pretty interesting things I've already seen. So can you tell us about that? Yeah.
So again, going back to this 3 modules, like you imagine you're a developer, you're a product manager, a product owner, head of product, or some. You build, you monitor, see how things are going. You might iterate on the product again, and then you feel like, hey, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to like boost growth, maybe start spending on growth in different ways. And we realize again, like that's the sequence of events that happen in a normal product development cycle, right? And we were at the point where we felt, hey, so we have the data also to start helping our customers on the growth side. And to do this, we partnered with with another business in Cosmos called Mecatech. Many of you might know them. So we're doing a joint venture specifically for the growth side.
Sean Braithwaite, also a guest here.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And then Sean will be much more eloquent than I am, by the way, and he will explain this 1,000 times better. But we're partnering with them. So
you're saying I should invite him back? Is that it?
I think so. Yes, I think so. Totally. Because I think like for double clicking on what I'm about to say, I think he's a much better person. But again, we're partnered with them on the growth side because we just didn't have the bandwidth to do everything, and they also have really good expertise on that end. And what we're trying to do really is allow our customers and new customers to grow their businesses through incentives, allocations, and distribution campaigns. So what that means is that we want our customers to be able to, using Stride, allocating incentives to specific holders of some STTIA and other balances across different chains. You've seen other folks doing that, and then, well, by the way, Filament is powering all that infrastructure for many of these folks to do all of that data work, by the way. But after, when you want to distribute your incentives, you also want to make aware the users like, hey, Stride probably wants to, they run a campaign also with us where they can distribute ads via third-party partners. In this case, we have partnered with Leap and Leap and Kepler. And the idea is that they can reach their users that they're trying to deliver these incentives to through different ads. And we have built an ad network to power that too. So the growth stack is in itself has different modules like segmentation, which is this whole indexing, snapshotting, distribution, which is like these ads that you can serve to our partners, and also attribution. We also offer the ability to measure how these campaigns are working, how these incentives are working. So we'll give our customers dashboards and tell you, hey, you generated X amount of dollar value with these incentives compared to a control group, et cetera, et cetera. So we could talk for hours about this, but I think, just zooming out to Numia again, we built this infrastructure company that can power these 3 modules of build, monitor, and grow. And grow, we happen to do a joint venture with Mecatech there, but that's, let's say, what the big picture of Numia is. and how our data essentially can power all of this at the same
I'm
time.
just trying to see if you're on purpose not trying to say the word airdrop, because it's the favorite Cosmos pastime, right? You're talking about incentives.
Yeah, I well, person incentives are airdrops are incentives at the end of the day. Totally,
Sure.
you're totally right. And we'd like, we are we are of the opinion that all you see people taking snapshots here and there, but we think that could be done more efficiently.
Right.
We have the infrastructure to power all those snapshots, and you want to do it to the right people. And actually, one of the things that we realize is that people are having a hard time measuring if it really had an impact, or what the impact of
Right.
those airdrops or
Sure.
incentives was. Right?
Sure.
So
Credit assignment. Yeah.
this yeah
Very complicated. Yeah.
yeah
So it definitely, on this sort of idea of airdrops, it definitely seems very random the way airdrops are being done. It feels like something a team does, in the course of time. Like, we're trying to ship the software, and also we need to do this like airdrop campaign. So we'll somehow cook up some methodology. And I'd agree that there doesn't seem to be, like, the criteria seem to try to hit like actual users and avoid the bots, avoid the civil attacks. But it's definitely, we haven't dived too deep into this, but looking at a few campaigns, it does seem quite unsophisticated. Honestly speaking, it could definitely be improved to pick the people that are actually going to become your users, right? And try to avoid guys who are going to dump it instantly.
yeah.
So are
And
there any campaigns that you guys have worked on that you can talk about?
um, so I can tell you high level, like we're working with Stride, Noble, Mars, Stargaze, and other folks for campaigns on the ad side. And um, if you run ads with us, you don't necessarily have to do the whole segmentation with us, indexing. On the indexing side, we try to work on the full stack with them, but like I think things are evolving quickly to get there. But on the indexing side, we're working with Quasar and Stride, for example, to make sure that we power the snapshotting and the indexing. And in general, one of going back to your comment that like people doing this randomly, I think Stride demonstrated with this last airdrop that they're not doing it randomly, right? Like they're actually incentivizing a behavior that will get value to their protocol, and their incentives are built in such a way that if you it's really hard to game in the sense that if you leave or if you stop doing what they're asking you to do, you will stop getting the incentives. So I think we will see this more and more where protocols start distributing incentives and reward using behavior, like as in like getting points for doing behavior on and on and on and on and on,
That directly
rather than
contributes
saying
to the protocol and isn't transitory.
exactly,
Right.
exactly, rather than saying, hey, snapshot at this point, here you go,
Right.
everybody, see what you can do with your tokens, right? So and we expect that it seems to be it's working, and we hope to give these protocols the data to tell them, hey, this is how it's working, how it's going, and even at some point recommendations of how all of this can be improved.
Can you talk a little bit about your business model? Because from what I'm hearing you say, there is a bit of sort of like a service that's built, but then there is this bit with like these custom integrations as custom development. So how does that figure in the way you guys do business?
Yeah, so basically Numia, at the end of the day, we're a software company. I don't know if you're familiar like, with enterprise software, but I think our module is very similar. We work with these chains and with other customers who want RPCs or APIs from us. We defined engagement of work, and normally, we have a platform fee, custom work fee if there's custom work, and then a usage fee. So just like another SaaS maybe, but also like many enterprise software companies, we sell services on top as well, right? And that's the custom work. If you need 10 custom endpoints that they don't exist and we need to go ahead and build them, we will charge you for that. And if you need data science services on top, we sell services. So it's a combination of like a SaaS module, selling services on top, so selling our time on top. And then for Filament, it's a little bit different. Again, that's a venture in itself, but the model of Filament is, we're trying to create enough volume in this platform where campaigners pay for their campaigns and their incentives and the distributors and try to get a cut from that essentially. Just like Google AdWords or anybody else on on that ad tech business does it.
Got it. I'm wondering what sort of future are you guys building for? Like, what do you expect, Numia to be in like a couple of years or in its final state? Are you thinking it's going to be like 50 developers and you're going to cover like all the chains, or do you expect some consolidation in the market and focusing on? Do you have any ideas, around this evolution?
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. I, well, again, I'm gonna give you a weak opinion, but my observation right now is so you see um, a bunch of players on the Ethereum side like Alchemy, Infura, right? Um, then you have QuickNode, which is another company that they do really good EVM infrastructure as a service. And you have other companies everywhere. The Helios that you mentioned in Solana, and it seems like so far, and it's us in Cosmos. So far, people are starting from the ecosystems. I do think the bigger ones, like maybe Infura or Helios, I don't know how big Helios is, but QuickNote raised a bunch of money as well. I think they will try to go horizontally and capture other markets like Cosmos or Solana or others. And then for what that means for us is like I don't know, like we try to right now our mission is still be like winning, like not winning, but like doing things really really well in Cosmos. Like we still see a lot of opportunity there. We're really good at it. We love the ecosystem. So right now we're just focused on Cosmos. We're trying to do
Build
our
staying
best
power.
work here.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I our bandwidth is definitely getting, the team needs to grow. Uh, and especially right now with the bull market, we're getting more and more work. So I, I don't know what the end game is really. I don't normally with our team when we talk about these things, we're so customer focused and we try to just solve our customers' problems that it's hard for us to guess these things, especially in this market where you never know what's going to happen. So we're just going to keep doing our thing, building for customers, doing the best that we can in Cosmos, and then we'll see. To be quite frank.
So, by the way,
hope
where
I
do you
don't
see
disappoint you with my
Cosmos
answer.
end of the? No, that's perfectly fine. So, where do you see Cosmos at end of like 24, 25? What do you think? Like, is Cosmos gonna have a bigger? I guess you guys already see the data, right? So you already know like what's happening. Do you see an increased amount of traction? Is it not just price action, but also usage that's increasing across the chains? Like, what are you expecting to happen? At the end of the year, at the end of next year?
Yeah, so we do a lot of like analysis for many of the chains at the, let's say, at the product level, like at the business logic layer, like how many users are coming back, average trades per user in osmosis, and those metrics are important for the health of the chain. Not like I want to make an important distinction here. Many people look at the absolute numbers of like volume, total users, total wallets as like the metrics to kind of like measure the health of a chain, of an ecosystem. I think those are okay, but those absolute numbers are more of a consequence of the market conditions normally. What you want to look into is like what I was saying before, average number of transactions per user, average like retention
Churn
rates, for
or
example,
right.
churn, and all these ratios. Those will give you a better health of the chains. And looking at Cosmos right now, we're looking really healthy numbers across most of the chains.
So high
And
retention, loyalty to protocols, people coming back.
increasing transactions per user, increasing in osmosis, we're seeing decent, really good increase in average trades per user, for example. And normally when you have a bull market, you have so many new wallets that just do one trade at a time. And that number tends to kind of like, even though you have more users, tends to decrease a little bit. It's not the case right now. So overall, like things look really healthy. And I think the boost of the new chains like Noble with Circle and USDC have and DYDX, that combination was really good for the ecosystem. Celestia also, even though that's a different use case in the sense that it's serving other ecosystem with its data layer that happens to be a Cosmos chain, is different. But overall, all of these things, I think, are giving Cosmos really good organic strength, in my opinion. And we're seeing it in the numbers. We're definitely seeing it in the numbers. Like looking at the numbers, we're definitely bullish. The only thing I want to say is like we don't analyze that much other ecosystems, so it's hard for me to like say, hey, we're doing so much better than A, B, or C. I don't know that, to be honest. But again, from these health metrics that we look into, things are looking really good.
That sounds like a great place to end the podcast. So that was some great news. Thanks very much for your analysis and for your time.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us and all these interesting questions. Appreciate it.